Okay, yeah, a couple of things I do need to cover. I've said it before, and a couple of things about your presentations. Let me emphasize again. Be sure to hand me a printed copy, and it can be in the form of 6 slides per page. It doesn't have to be a full slide per page. Just you have the option when you print to print 6 slides on one page, and I just as soon have that. But I need something to write notes on. Secondly, be sure to have questions. The first group didn't have any questions. That's again in the right. It's under the last part, item D, I guess it is in the critique sheet. Be sure to have questions to review with the students. Um, Probably most important, especially because we're doing 2 per day now, is keep them tight. Um, And even at the start of the semester, I asked you to eliminate parts of the chapter that you don't that aren't important and not very interesting to the students. Um, that was probably the biggest problem with the first presentation was trying to cover too much. Second one, maybe a little bit too much. The first presentation, way too much. And then especially when we got to the slides that didn't have any graphics, then it made no sense at all. And if you find yourself just going reading what's on your slide, then that's not a good presentation. You need to be explaining things and have some emphasis and really talk about the things that are important and give it and talk to us like you were our friend trying to explain what was in this chapter. So I much prefer less than more. If you cover less better than more poorly. And so cut down the content of that chapter to the most interesting, important stuff. It'll be easier on you, and it's better for us. If I see, like during the first presentation, a lot of students were not paying attention. Um, a lot of that was just trying to cover too much and not with enough um, emphasis and as naturally as in a way that will keep people's attention. Um, so yeah, just try to cover less, cover better, cover less. That you're not you're I can absolutely guarantee the only way you're going to get deducted by not covering enough of the chapter is if you're covering the wrong part of the chapter. If you just start at the front of the chapter and cover the first couple of pages of the chapter just because that's the easiest, and obviously if you're not covering the most important stuff, then you'll get deductions. But if you go through your chapter and present the most important stuff, then less will get you a better grade. Less will get you a better grade. I guarantee it. So do that. Um, and then try to keep it down closer to 20 minutes. The first one went more like 35 minutes or something. Um, Keep it down, keep it tight, keep it good. Um, okay, going to the workshop, the peer-to-peer stuff. If some of you are only uh, first off, I asked the question, nobody responded to the negative as far as does everybody now have questions or um, have journal entries to score, to grade? Do anybody not have journal entries to grade who has submitted a journal entry anyway? If you haven't submitted, then you may not have one. But if you have submitted your journal entries, everybody should have some to grade. Now, if you only have, some of you emailed me and said you only have 3. Don't worry about it. I'm not. I don't know why Moodle is only sending some people three journal entries, or, entries from 3 people to grade. I don't know why. The Moodle is acting strangely. I will probably never try to use this aspect of Moodle again because it's been way too much trouble for me. Um, but again, I don't have no idea why it's only offering 3. Um, don't worry about it. You won't be penalized because Moodle is screwing up his job. However many you get, grade those. Okay, because I don't have time to try to figure out why Moodle's acting up on us. There's nothing I can do about Moodle. It's doing what it's doing. So whatever you receive, I'm not going to try to supplement and send extra ones or anything, at least not at this point. So as long as everybody who submitted has some to score them and get them handed in. Okay. Any other questions from anybody about anything before I wrap up my coverage? I'm not going to turn the quiz till 3:42 because you only have 8 questions, and some of those are true or false. So 8 minutes for 8 questions should be fine. And so it's more important that I cover some of those 8 questions in my material. So any question before I go back to my PowerPoint? Okay, so I'm going to skip some slides that I don't have time for. In the video we saw to start with, Zig Ziglar mentioned a few things you should do, and if you're going to set and achieve goals. And so these are them. Write down your goal with as many specifics as possible. Give yourself a deadline, perhaps a step-by-step deadline, what I might call the stepping stone goals. List the obstacles you will need to overcome. Identify the people, groups, and organizations you need to work with. Now, Tony Robbins, I think last week talked about this, and one of the things he said was that the failure of many enterprises, you might say, is the lack of resources. And so the way he expressed it was, if you lack resources, be resourceful. Well, how are you resourceful? Well, one of the ways is to institute some of the things that Dr. Covey talked about. Is find partners, find people that can work with you. And so that while Zig Ziglar in his video he was not real specific on who are these people, groups, and organizations that can help you. It does overlap with what Dr. Covey teaches about about seeking win-win relationships, seeking synergy with other groups, with other people. And so you can think about that when you're thinking about how do I do what Tony Robbins says of being resourceful when I lack resources. You can also think about how this will impact you. Let's say, go back to Zig Ziglar's example of writing a book. So what happens if you want to write a book, and so you arrange, whether it's by payment or something, probably especially by payment, you find somebody who's got a really good writer, and you say, I'm going to pay you $100 a week to be my editor. See, that's a resource. If they're accepting $100 a week, or it might even be less, $50 a week, because they want to help you out, maybe they're a friend, whatever it might be. But now you have committed yourself to write that book, because you're paying an editor to review your book. And so you sit down and decide, okay, I'm going to write 1 chapter every week, or 1 chapter a month, or whatever it is. The specifics are up to you to determine. But you decide what your timetable is going to be. You work it out, and you make, in deciding which people, groups, and organizations you need to help you. Some of that is if you make that organization, if you set that up, I've got these people that are waiting for me to send them my chapter to review, or I have this organization that I'm going to partner with, and they're waiting to launch the website, but I have to get them the information. You get other people involved in your goal, and now that gives you impetus to accomplish what you've committed yourself to accomplish. What it does, if you go back to Dr. Covey, is that if you get other people involved and you make commitments to other people, it now moves something that's in quadrant 2. Remember, quadrant 2 is a thing that is important but not urgent. When you involve other people, suddenly you move it from that quadrant to quadrant 1. Now, because you have other people involved, an editor waiting for you, some group ready to do the website, whatever it is, Now you have moved it from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1, and now you have this feeling of urgency. You have to get it done. And we tend to get quadrant 1 stuff done because of that sense of urgency. We tend to ignore things when we leave them in quadrant 2 because we don't have to do it. Nobody's telling us we have to do it. And that's usually because we haven't involved anybody else. And so one of the important parts of what Zig Ziglar is saying is, yes, we identify the people, groups, and organizations that could help us. We make commitments and we move and according to Dr. Covey's explanation now, we move things from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1. And so that becomes more than just an understanding the reason that you need some more resources, for example. So it covers what Tony Robbins is saying, that you need more resources, so let's be resourceful and find other people to help us. And it covers what Dr. Covey says, we need to get stuff over to quadrant 1 in order to make quadrant 2 something we will do on a regular basis, that will get done. We spell out the action plan. That's important and then you make those commitments to the organizations or individuals you're working with. So this is my action plan. I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to write this 1 chapter a month of this book, whatever it might be that you're doing. And I'm going to move that over to my volunteer editor or my paid editor or whatever. And now, again, you're moving things from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1 and spelling out your action plan and getting other people involved with it. Zig Ziglar says, then identify all the benefits you will achieve when you achieve your goal. You might remember Dr. Covey said a very similar thing in talking about envisioning. Also, Tony Robbins talks a lot about envisioning. But Dr. Covey said, when you envision it, try to imagine with all of your senses. Imagine you accomplishing what you want to accomplish, and sensing the sense of joy, the sense of accomplishment, the rewards you might receive, the money you might receive, the better house you might be able to buy. Whatever it is that by accomplishing your goal you will achieve, imagine that and imagine it with all of your senses if you can. Make it as much a reality to you as possible. And then if you do all these things, then you should be able to accomplish your goals. But what's one of the things that he says in the video we are not getting a chance to watch is that if you need to be persistent. He did say in that part of that video we watched to start the class that too many of us have excuses, and we make excuses. I'll do this when, I'll do this when, I'll do this when, and we don't do it ever because we make up the excuses. Again, that's important to moving things from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1 and getting these other people involved and so forth. And to, again, back in the idea of persistence, I guess it kind of relates to the idea of, if we allow things to defeat us, that'll just become another one of our excuses. I wasn't able to accomplish this because, and fill in the excuse that something got in our way. You might remember from a number of weeks ago, I forget his name now. There's another author that we were talking about. He was talking about what happens when you tell people to go across the room in a straight, go across the room in a straight line. You put a chair in front of them, and they just stand there. They don't know what to do because you told them to go in a straight line. Whereas you say, get to that goal over there, and you put a chair in their way, they go around the chair, whatever. If you emphasize the goal, then how to get there becomes evident. You may have to be spontaneous in accomplishing it, but it will become evident as you look at the goal and not at the procedures, how to get there. You'll figure out the way. Somebody else was talking about the idea of starting to climb a rock face and just start going and you'll figure it out. So set your goal and start moving. Moving. I think I might we actually have, before we'll open up now, because I changed it to 4 minutes or to 4:42. Maybe we do have a chance to watch this very short 2-minute video on persistence, because I think I might have forgotten something that was on there. So I want to make sure. I think there is a question on that subject. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. I think these plus what you were supposed to watch last week will cover the quiz.
I think all of us at one time or another have been hurt because we've been treated in an unfair way. But one of the neat things we need to learn from that can be the greatest teaching lesson of our life. Because when we understand that, of 300 world-class leaders, and I'm talking about Roosevelt and Churchill and Mahatma Gandhi, I'm talking about Helen Keller and Mother Teresa, people of that ilk, over 75% of them were either abused as children, or had some physical deformity, or they had some real difficulties in their life. But they understood it's not what happens to you, it's how you handle what happens to you. They responded, which is positive, instead of reacted, which is negative. In other words, when you get knocked flat on your back, just remember that you don't drown by falling in water. You only drown if you stay there. And you don't fail by getting knocked down. You only fail if you stay down. And of course, in my life, I understand that the God of the mountaintop is also the God of the valley. So we've always got that here. Optimism here is really a very important point as well. Look at life in an optimistic manner. The 1828 Noah Webster Dictionary never has the word pessimism in it, but it does have the word optimism in it. So don't go to the new stuff, go to the old stuff. Read the definition of optimism in that dictionary, and you will see it's what you really expect to happen. It's been ordained, is what the dictionary said. Very exciting.
Okay, so the important part there is we talked about it before. We talked about all the people who had gone to prison before they became, our heroes. People like Gandhi had to go to prison. People like Nobel Prize winner Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I mentioned in an earlier class how all he had was one piece of paper. He was in a work camp in Siberia, freezing cold. Felt like he was going to die, but he kept writing. And the way he had to write his book of about 700 pages, one tiny page at a time, real small print, and memorize it, and then erase it and start over again after he'd memorized it. And that's how he wrote, I think, is the book Gulag Archipelago, the one that won him the Nobel Prize. He won it by writing one page at a time, memorizing it before he could write another page while he was in prison. Other people, likewise, we talked about. Name is slipping my mind right now, but the guy that went was the Jewish psychologist who wrote about the idea of being proactive. Anyway, he's not on the quiz today, so you don't need to write his name. But you recall, I mean, his friends were dying, his family members were dying all around him, and he realized that he could escape through his imagination and created a university in the concentration camp and so forth. So there are people who, what he said was like 75% of all the people on this list of 200 of the greatest achievers in the world's history, all had something like that. They had some disability. They were abused as children. They were thrown in prison. Something happened to them, and yet they overcame and achieved great things in their lives. So be persistent, set your goals, and don't let anything stop you. And that should probably bring us to the time for the quiz. And so I will. Indeed, it's time. You can go ahead and start your quiz. There's only 8 questions, I believe, in it. You've got 8 minutes.
Okay. Okay, now I'm going to share some ways to read these different kind of spatial materials. Oh, okay, the first is the mathematic text. Yeah, the first point we can divide it into three parts. The first part is don't skip any special elements. Yeah, when we read the textbooks, there's a special elements introduction. After that, usually a formula will be used it. When you yeah, if you skip the elements after that, you read the formula. Whoa, why can I understand it? Why I can't understand it? Yeah, that is why we shouldn't skip any special elements. And after that, when we read the formulas, we should read until you can absolutely understand it. Yeah, Mm, that is why after yeah, it's usually will have some questions on the textbooks after you read the formulas. Yeah, it can always have tips that use the formulas which you just read. You will say, whoa, why I can't handle it? Cause I have understand the formulas. What a pity. Okay. The next is try to do questions with this formula. Yeah, just I say, if you don't want to do more, just do the questions on the textbooks is enough. Um, and after that, don't skip to the next chapter after before you understand this understand this one what you read now. Cause you will see that oh, I don't want to repeat that again, but I should. Why I can't understand this capital? Cause I don't read the last capital. Yeah, that's all. And the next one and uh, when you and you should pay attention in some other place. I mean when you meet some simply social questions, you can try to apply to your formulas what you studied. Uh, Trust me, you can get more deeper impression after you use it in your daily life. And the, the last one is the most important one. Uh, um, Most people in here don't have the ability to, when they don't have the ability to solve a pretty difficult questions. So we should seek help when we are puzzled. Just like you can seek help to teacher. You can seek help uh, to in a office time. In an office time, you can seek help to them, and I think they will handle these questions and help you to understand that. And next one is the scientific text. This text is not ordinary material. Okay, here is not ordinary materials. You will think there all the time, cause you are not a database. You just record what he say and don't think anymore. So you should think all the time, cause you will be a better man, not a database. And you after your thinking, you should record the result of your thinking in the age of these materials, and you can think the questions such as this: how it occurred and why it occurred, and how can I affect it if I change some factors of this just like experiment. Yeah, and if you read these materials, you should keep thinking, but just record. Okay. Okay, the next one is the social science text. The first one, yeah, just like the scientist materials, you should put thinking skill into overdrive again. Don't like any science. Don't like just scientist text. Social scientist text always includes the point of answers, and you should distinguish answers point and yours. So put thinking skill into overdrive is important. You you won't be affected by the answer's point if his point is different with you or is uh is in the contrary the answer's point is can counter argument with yours. So we should distinguish answers point and yours. Um, after that you can choose what you need in these materials, and we still can thinking about these questions. Why he or she say these points is a point, and he can prove it in his ways or just lead you to accept his points, such as he give extremely ridiculous points. You will say, oh, how can he say this? But he just want you be a accept his point. It's just a begin, not a value point. And oh, and next one is the foreign language text. Okay, it is always challenging of foreign language text when we read. Cause a stranger language not be accept very fast by ourselves. So we should just be patient. We can arrange more break times, but don't give up. And next important point of the foreign language text is and the most and the best ways to learning a foreign language. Always practice. You can understand a sentence, and after that a paragraph, and even an article at the last. You can understand them gradually, but don't give up. And next one is reading graphic. Yeah, we always see graphic when we read some books. Okay, there is different categories of this part. The first one is okay. It's okay. There is no picture. Sorry about that. Okay. Mm, uh, the most kind of table we see just okay. Always go next subject. Okay. It's a okay. It's an accident. But I just can introduction but I just can do some introduct about this part. The most table we can say is always raw data and always figure about it. And the next is bar chart, cause people can't always understand the figures. We use a graphic such as rectangle to describe these figures. Yeah, that is bar chart. Yeah, the next one is the line chart. To isolate the trend of this series data, the bar chart is not enough. So people create the line chart to make them understand these figures more easily. And next one is the pie chart. The pie chart is always isolates oh sorry, illustrate the and share the element what how many parts they occurred in total. And next one is a map. Yeah, there's very different kinds of map. In early, the map just only to describe a place and it is changed. But today, maps has more categories, such as it can introduce about the population change and resource which has been uh, has been found. And next one is a photograph. Yeah, when when camera has been invented, the photograph uh, has been used to um, introduce some information about some articles. Yeah, there is a saying goes, good paragraph is better than it's better than uh, a good it's better than a good articles. And next one is the uh, illustration. It's this kind of picture is divide something like plane. Yeah, we can divide it by wings, and the radar and some other parts of the plane. And this is the illustration. Okay, the next part is online reading. Um, in online when in this time, yeah, we always call them information times. Cause we can get a big amount of information from online. So when we read the online information, the first things we should record the web address. No matter you want to take this information or you think this information is unmeaning, you when you record the web address, you can use it after you log out fastly. And next one is the website topic. Yeah, topic always includes the important things which it want to introduce. And when we should check some information but very fast, just see the topic. If there are no information you want, you can skip it and try and find the next article. And the third one is check the information. Yeah, after you choose some article by the topic, you can see that some articles still uh, less meaning. Yeah, it's just value in the topic. There's no other things in the articles. So we should check these informations and you will find what you want. And the next one is consider others' comments to the website. Yeah, you can see that someone's mind will put on the online, and you can decide if this information can use by myself. Okay. The next one is trust the impressions about the materials. The materials, others, if others describe it, yeah, we will say, well, it's maybe unmeaningful. Sorry, it's maybe less meaningful. But if you read it by yourselves, you will get your impressions and of these materials. This is This is the most important factors to decide if you choose these articles as your information. Okay. Okay, on this part, I will I will in, I will introduce them in a role style. Cause I think here people won't have children and uh, uh, expect teachers won't have children in our family lives. So we just don't usually expect a long uninterrupted reading time cause your mom will call you help her in any time. And the next one is schedule your heavy reading when your children are sick. Okay, okay, okay. This a meaningful part, so I jump it. Um, the last one is building your vocabulary. Yeah. Um, building a vocabulary is something will took a lot of your times. So we should choose faster ways to do it. The first one is look out for new words in your daily lives and write down them. Uh, and write down them. After do these 2 points in a period of time, you maybe can get the ability to guess them. Yeah, if you read a new words after you do the point 1 and 2 a period of time, you can guess the means by yourself. Yeah, the word roots can help you in sometimes. Um, and also use the dictionary is ordinary skills to building our vocabulary. And the the point 4 and 5 and 6 is the ways to deeper your impressions in when you after you study a new word. Create a sentence, the word out aloud, and use the word in a real life. Yes, these 3 things can help you to remember it. And the last one is the schedule timetable to review. And we all know if we don't review new things a period of time, we will forget them easily.
Stuck now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jai, and this is Rohan, and this is Ija. And we are presenting the Chapter 6, Preparing for and Taking Tests. So, test is a way of discovering by questions or practical activities by what someone knows or what someone or something can do it. So, it is not just academic tests that we attend in schools, but also in our common life situation. For instance, complete a crossword puzzle, cook a dinner, or even prepare a cost estimate. Tests measure how much we know about a specific subject at a single point in time, and it tests how we apply that what we have learned and learn from what we have performed. Tests alone are not a good measurements. Not a good measurements about how smart we are. It only shows what we know or what we can do at the particular time. So by doing tests, we can know what we learned from what we have performed, gaining experience, and prevent making the same mistakes again when we do it again. So academic tests in college and in high school are different. College instructors expect to see much more of ourselves in exams, our thoughts, our conclusion, and our thinking process. High school teachers usually look for our ability to repeat precisely what we read in the text or what we heard during the class. Success on high school is just based on our memorization, then on understanding the materials. While in college, we need to modify our study habit and giving our own thoughts in the exams. So here is the study cycle. The end and the beginning of the study cycle are both involved in the test taking. We prepare, we listen, and we take notes in the class, and we review and we apply in the exam. So test anxiety and how do we control it? So sometimes it's normal for us to feel stress before an exam, but it can be good things as stress can motivate us to study and review. And it also can help us to remember some of the material that we need. But suffering too much can impede our ability to show what we have learned. So test anxiety is a psychological condition in which a person feels distress before, during, or after the test or exam to the point where stress causes poor performance. So how to control it? So first, be prepared. If we do prepare in class, it will be better for us to attend the exams and thus reduce our stress level. So second, bounce back vibes. Clear the mind that we have the negative thoughts and rest for a while and continue when our mind is clear. And third, visualize success. Set a specific and reasonable goals and try to reach towards every individual goal. The fourth one, it's all about us. Don't waste our time to comparing with the others, especially during the exams. We should keep focus on our own work and our own plan. Fifth, have a plan and follow it. As soon as we know when is our exam, and we should develop a plan and follow it. Don't wait to cram for an exam at the last minute. The pressure we put on ourselves will lead to more anxiety and we won't learn or retain much. Number 6, make sure we eat well and get a good night's sleep. Hunger, poor eating habits, energy drinks, and lack of sleep will all contribute to the test anxiety. And the last one, chill. You perform best when you are relaxed. So learn some relaxation exercise that we can use during the exam. So my question is, which of the following is not one of the ways to control the test anxiety? Correct. The answer is C. So now it's 6.2, studying to learn, not just for tests. There is 4 different studying. Okay, the first one is studying every day, studying in the course unit, and studying before exams, and studying in groups. And for the first one, studying every day, We should gather our learning materials, and it is better for us to clear any misconceptions because of two reasons. The first, the question will get fresh in our mind and we won't forget about it. And second, the instructor will usually build their lessons on material that they actually presented. So it's very important for us to know the materials as it will come out in the exams. The second, apply or visualize. Try to find a way to apply in our own life or thoughts. If we can't use the knowledge right away, we should visualize ourselves using the knowledge to solve the problems or visualize ourselves to teach other people the materials. Cement our knowledge. Test ourselves with the questions and try to remember all the correct questions because or else we will continue to memorize the wrong answer in the exams. Studying in the course unit, we summarize or outline the materials in our own words. It will be easier for us to understand and easier for us to remember those materials. Studying before the exam. Before the exam, we could do some challenge questions and review these outlines of the course and also those the instructors emphasize. And we can use the key points to make the flashcard. It's more convenient for us to review it or memorize it. Studying groups. We should create a study group and limit our study group not more than 4 people. And as it will limit each student's participation. And second, go for quality. Ask for help from students who do well in the course or the subjects. Look for complementary skills and learning styles because each of us will pick different signals from teachers and lecturers that we can share with each other. So maybe sometimes we can get some extra knowledge from each other. And fourth, meet regularly. It will be more effective when you meet each other and study in group regularly. And we also need to define an agenda and objective, which should include some of the following items. Review and discuss class and assignment notes since your last meeting. Think of possible test questions and responses. Review quiz and test result and correcting misunderstanding. Define the question to ask the instructors. We should develop this agenda for us to able to keep focus and will not get sidetracked. And also, make sure all the team members know what exactly is expected from them and agree to do work. And make sure the ownership is spread across the team members so that everyone has the chance to become the discussion leader and it ensures the active participation. And more tips for success. Use your own study time to go through the steps outlined earlier and get yourselves in the right space. For example, get a quiet place like library or study rooms to minimize the distractions from the phones, activities, chatty friends, and other distractions. And also, don't forget to take a short breaks at least once an hour. So here's my questions. Which of the following are not one of the effective learning? Yes, the answer is A.
Okay, good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. Now is talking about 6.3 taking test. And this the objective of learning 6.3 is to let you to understand the kind of test you will take in college and how you learn from them. And also learn general strategies to apply when taking tests and quizzes. And we all know that taking tests is essential in a college. As a student, all of us already took part a lot of tests in the past. But what is the objective? All tests are designed to determine how much you know about a particular subject at a particular point in time. But you should be aware of difference in types of tests because will help guide how you prepare for them. Two general types of tests are based on their objectives or how they are intended to be used are formative assessment and summative assessment. And what is the difference of them and their main objective? Formative assessment includes quizzes, unit test, pop quizzes, and review quizzes from a textbook or its website. Their main objective is to make sure you know the fundamental material before moving on to more challenging topics. Summative assessments include midterms and finals. They are used by the lecturer to determine if you are mastering a large portion of the material, and as such, they usually carry a heavy weight toward your final grade for the course. Because of this, they often result in high level of test anxiety and long study periods. In addition to the classification by objective, tests can also be grouped into various categories based on how they are delivered. Each type has its own peculiar strategy. The first one is paper test. And this is the common type of test requiring students to write answer on the test paper in a separate test booklet. They are typically used for in-class tests. Neatness and good grammar count even if not an English exam. Remember that the lecturer will be reading dozens of test papers and will not likely spend much time trying to figure out your hieroglyphics and others. Open book tests allow the student to consult their notes, textbook, or both while taking the exam. Lecturers often give this type of test when they are more interested in seeing your thoughts and opinion, and also the critical thinking that your memory power. Be prepared to explore and defend your own points, notes, and use sticky notes to keep page of your textbook before the exam. Be careful when copying information or formulas to your test answer because nothing looks worse in an open book exam than misusing the material at your disposal. And take-home tests are like open book tests, except you have the luxury of time on the side. Make sure you submit the exam on time, know what the lecturer expectation, and above the content of your answer. Next one is online tests. Online tests are most commonly used for formative assessment, which I have mentioned before, although there are graduation requirement like the quiz we have before end of class. Find out if you will be allowed to move freely between test sessions to go back and check your work or to complete questions you might have skipped. Unless your exam needs to be taken at a specific time, don't wait until the last minute to take the test. Electronic tests in the classroom are becoming more common as colleges install smart classrooms with technologies such as wireless clickers. Technology that lecturers may use to get a multiple choice question or only true or false. So it's used for summative assessment. And the last one is presentation and oral test. Like now, this is the most complete means for lecturer to evaluate students' mastery of material. Because the evaluation is highly interactive, the lecturer can prove you on certain points, question your assumptions, or ask you to defend your point of view. Make sure you practice your presentation many times with and without an audience. Have a clear and concise point of view and keep to the allotted time. And now is the tips of taking tests. The first one is learn as much as you can, and this is necessary. And try to foresee the question likely to be on the test. You can review past quiz and tests to see what kind of question the instructor likes to ask. Don't be turned to step out lab cramming and get some exercise and watch what you eat. Cramming is not a substitute for doing your assignment and studying consistently over time. And it's more important to get a good night's sleep and face your test fresh and well rested. A good workout the day before an exam will help you be fresh and stay focused during the exam. A healthy diet the night before and the day of the exam will give you energy and concentration to do well on the exam. And next is get to the test site early. Take out all your allowable tools like pencil, pen, calculator, and others, and do some of the relaxation exercise for controlling test anxiety. And next is create a test prep. Listen carefully to the direction given by the lecturer. When you receive your test, scan the entire test bar, evaluate the importance of each session, then create a time allocation plan. Decide how much you should dedicate to each session. And the next one is write it down. Take a couple minutes to write down key facts, dates, principal statements, and formulas on a piece of scratch paper or in the margin of the exam paper. Do this while you are still fresh and aren't yet feeling time present. Then you can refer to this note when you take the exam. The next one is read the directions carefully, then read them until you understand. If not, ask the lecturer to be sure you are clear, as too many students lose points simply by not following the direction completely. And next is do the easy question first. And by getting the easy question out of the way, you will feel more confident about the test and have more time to think about the tougher question. And start with the objective section on the exam first. As you answer this question, keep an eye out of face or concepts you may want to use later in an essay question. Next is keep an eye all the time. Keep as close to your plan as possible. If you see that you are running out of time, don't panic. Move to those questions you think you can still answer accurately within the remaining time. The last is check your work. Start by ensuring that you have complete answers according to the directions. Then look for others' common mistake. If you have the common mistake and correct it. And this is the techniques for test taking. Before the test, you have to sleep well, eat healthy, arrive early, and sit where you will be comfortable. And during the test, read over the exam, answer all the question, and if you have the time, you may to review it. After the test, analyze your performance, reflect on your overall test experience, and make a plan for future tests. And this will help you to achieve a better level in next test. And now is the question time. Which are not the keys of taking tests? The answer is B and C.
Good afternoon, everyone. So now I'm going to talk about the secret of Q&A. The objective you need to learn about this is understand the 5 principal types of questions and gain specific strategy for addressing each type of questions. So the first type of question is multiple choice question. Read the instruction carefully, and if there is more than one right answer, eliminate the first option that is clearly incorrect and compare the remaining answer before choosing one and marking your paper. Look for the clue word that hints that the certain option answer might be correct or incorrect. And the second type of question is true or false questions. Be particularly aware of the word like never, always, every, none, or not because they can determine the correct answer. And next is matching column. Start by making the matches that are obvious to you and then work on the one that require more thought. The fourth type of question is short answer questions. When you read the question, ask yourself what exactly the instructor wants to know and keep your answer short and specific. And last question is essay questions. Good essay answers are based on your thought and supported by the examples from classes and reading assignment. Careful planning is critical to answering essay questions effectively. So these are some of the keywords to watch for in the essay questions. Analyze, for example, analyze is break concept into key parts. Compare means shows the similarity, and contrast is shows the difference, and etc. So if you're interested to the table, please refer to page 242 to 244 in your textbook. So this is a question: which word means break concept into the key in essay questions? So the answer is donkey, analyze. Next, the honest truth. We understand the importance and impact of the result on our academic performance. So there are some of the students who do not prepare well may attempt academic dishonesty to try to get the best possible grade. For example, cheating, plagiarism, fabrication, unauthorized access, or obtaining unfair advantage. However, we should be mindful of the consequences of academic dishonesty. For example, in our university, students who found cheating in the exam will be expelled from the university. So next I will talk about how to use the test result for their greatest benefit. Working with exam does not end when your instructor hands back your graded test. After the exam, your lecturer returns the paper. Please refer and review it. The graded test paper can be a very helpful tool for your next exam. First is to find out your study preparation error, and next is focus error and carelessness, content error and mechanical errors. After you found your error, next step is to correct your mistake. The last time you wrote the information when you took the test has created a link to wrong information in your memory, so that must be corrected. And understand the question that you will answer wrong and redo it so you can learn from your mistake, and this help you to prevent you make the mistakes twice in the exam. And finally is integrate the test into your study guide. Keep the paper and refer it for your next exam. Yeah. So the question is, which of the following is not the three processes of using test result as a study guide? So the answer is C, comparing your result with your classmates. So as for conclusion, in this chapter, we learn the importance of exam and have a right attitude about them is critical for our college success. We should know how to handle with test anxiety and prepare and study for your exam smartly. Work smart instead of work hard. Try to apply all the general strategy for exam and do it confidently. And that's all for our presentation. Thank you.